Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jennifer's Perspective. And today, my very special guest will be Dr. Chinwe Idigo. Did I
Right.
pronounce that correctly, Doctor?
You did. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
You're welcome, Doctor. And Dr. Chinwe has a forum for a Black woman's forum for sexual health and well-being. Is that correct?
That is correct, Jennifer. First, I just want to quickly introduce myself. My name is Dr. Chinwe Idigo.
Uh-huh.
I recently graduated with my PhD in counseling psychology. And as mentioned, on Saturday, I am hosting an event. It's a forum for Black women to discuss their sexual wellness as well as their
Mhm.
reproductive health. And so we've brought together people who are experts on that topic. We are going to be speaking with a gynecologist from Rutgers University. She specializes in pelvic floor disorders, and she's going to talk to us about our sex lives, our pelvic floor, the importance of keeping that healthy, how that is affected by different life circumstances, such as birthing, and things like that. So it's a really wonderful way to learn about your body as a Black woman and to learn about taking care of yourself. We're also going to include some fun elements as well. So we have an adult novelty specialist who will be talking to us about things that we can use to enhance our sex lives. And then I'm going to be taking everyone through an exercise to really explore how they develop their beliefs and attitudes about sex and sexuality and really talk about how that shows up in their sex lives. So I don't think we have enough modeling out there of what healthy sexuality looks like. Um, sure, we talk about sex, but I see it done in a very performative way and not a way that's related to growth and development. And so this forum is just an attempt to start having that conversation to open up Black women's sexualities. Yeah.
Well, do you know what? Let me tell you something. First of all, let me applaud you. Yes, 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 yes. Why? Because let me tell you something. This is an issue that I think a lot of Black women struggle with, and it is their own sexuality.
Mhm.
And especially when it comes to their own sexuality, reproductive issues, and a lot of women, like myself, I had struggled with fibroids, and
Mhm.
I had two myomectomies because two myomectomies while I was trying to do the IVF process. And with the IVF process, I was trying to get pregnant, and I found out that I had like benign tumors that was inside of my uterus,
Mhm.
and that there was a fibroid sitting on top of my tube that was blocking the I guess the flow.
Mhm.
And believe it or not, that was why I couldn't get pregnant. And I think this is such a really good issue for a lot of women to find out more about their bodies and their reproductive organs and their cervix, because I've had coworkers who had cervical cancer, uterine cancer, that has cyst on their uterus. And I think this is such a wonderful forum, especially for Black women, to learn about their bodies and their medical health as well as their sexual health. And I think that is absolutely fantastic. Now,
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm glad that you took the steps to, find out what you needed to do. And yeah, there's no need to suffer in silence anymore.
exactly, exactly. Now, as a sexual health and well-being doctor, can you just tell us some of the issues, not some of the issues, some of the topics that Black women can address, I guess, with their partners, with their spouses, to actually either enhance the sexual experience, or what are some of the issues that what are some of the issues that you find a lot of Black women are prone to having besides fibroids? Can you share that?
I can speak a little bit to that from the psychological perspective because
Mhm.
my specialty is in psychology and I deal with relationships in the broad sense. So not
Mhm.
just romantic relationships, but just relationships in general. And so
Mhm.
you apply that to sex and sexuality. A huge piece of any successful relationship is communication. Sounds
Mhm.
cliche and sounds basic, but it really is a key component of a lot of relationships is clear, respectful communication. And so when you take that into sexual experiences,
Mhm.
as women, we have a lot of messaging out there that we shouldn't know all these things about sex. It's like don't have sex, don't have sex, don't have sex. And then randomly you're supposed to know how to have sex to please
But
your
if you don't have, if you sex, how are you supposed to please your husband or your partner?
exactly. So those are the conflicting messages that we
Like,
keep finding, right? So it's really bizarre when you stop and think about it, where it's kind of
mhm,
no one telling you how, and yes, no one's going to show you how or stand over you in the bedroom, but there are ways to share information that can kind
mhm,
of help people learn about these things. Because what I find is that I'm going to get to the solutions very quickly, but I also want to
you
just,
can take your time. We have time.
yeah, like what I find is that a lot of people, since there's no information out there, they don't talk to their doctors. They don't talk to their parents for sure. Maybe they may talk to their friends, but a lot of people are finding information about sex from pornographic material. Now,
Mhm.
as adults, we all know that that is staged, theatrical, not fake, not
Listen.
real, not respectful to women.
Wait,
So,
wait, wait, wait a minute. It's staged, it's theatrical, and it's a little bit swinging from the chandelier. Not
it's
really.
over the top. It's not real life, right? Like that
Mhm,
is not, and it's extremely disrespectful to women. And
mhm, mhm,
so a lot of women are just in this kind of weird place. Or the other piece is sexuality is shown in media where you see celebrities, but that is like more performative. So they're using sex as a tool to sell products as opposed to
mhm. That's
reflecting on.
advertising and marketing, and everybody knows that sex sells. Like, oh my God, they put it on the billboard, they put it in the commercials, the infomercials, and but that's not reality.
Exactly. And it's also not really thinking about what is the function of sex. Yes, there's the biological piece, right? We need sex to reproduce and to populate the earth, go out and multiply. But we're not really talking about how sex is also an extension of intimacy.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, so when there's that emotional intimacy with a person, they're open,
Hmm.
there's a fondness, there's love, there's attraction. The natural
Hmm.
extension of that or the physical expression of that is sex.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
how can you and so when you're having that sex, you have to do it in a way that is reflective of your relationship. Is your
Hmm.
sex loving? Is your sex respectful? Is your sex considerate of the other person? And as women, this is what we have to ask for because just as we're in the dark, men are in the dark too. But they're
Hmm.
supposed to know what's going on because they're a man. And so for a lot of women, we have to take charge and really figure out what do I like, what are my needs, and how can I communicate that to someone that I love in a way that is respectful, open, and not attacking, because it's also a sensitive subject. But we really do have to learn that communication, open communication, respect.
Hmm.
What are my needs? What do I like? What are my values? How does that come into play here?
Hmm.
Um, how am I viewing the other person? Am I just looking at them as someone that will meet my need? or is this really about that connection? And so that is what I think a huge piece is that communication piece is lacking. And if you think about that, any relationship where communication breaks down, the relationship is going to break down sooner or later, right? You can't have a good relationship without communication. And so I think that translates to sex life as well. You can't have a good sex life without healthy communication around sex.
Now, here is the thing. When it comes to in relationship, and I noticed that in some relationships, it didn't happen in my relationship, but in some relationships, even though me and my ex wasn't getting along, we still were intimate we were still intimate because, we both had needs and stuff like that.
Right.
Now now we're divorced now, but the thing that I'm saying is that in some relationships, when they're not getting along, they stop having sex, and that also helps with the communication issue. And it really, like, how do you help them to reignite that sexual desire for each other, like, for their partner?
I think that's an excellent point. In some of because as a psychologist, I also sometimes do couples work. And in some of the couples work, the question that I ask is, sex is you're opening up yourself in a very, very intimate, personal way.
Yes, it is.
Would you want to do that with someone who you don't trust?
No. Well, not me anyway.
Has been putting you down, someone who's been treating you like you don't matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are all we always look for. One of the conversations we have is, how is the sex? And that is because when all
they don't value the other person.
Right. If I don't feel valued, if I don't feel nurtured, if I don't feel like you care about me, I will, my guard goes up, right?
Exactly. So why should I have sex or even be intimate if you disrespect me, you don't respect me, you don't value me, and you treat me like I don't matter? Why should I even open up myself to you? Because a lot of people don't understand that sex is also spiritual.
Yes, it is. It is.
It is spiritual, and they do not understand that when you are intimate and when you're in a sexual relationship with someone, you understand there is a spirit attached to that.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that completely. Now, can't speak to that from an academic perspective, but I do. I am very heavy into my spirituality, and I do think the way I look at it is you're opening up and inviting someone into a sacred space.
Mm-hmm.
You only invite people into sacred spaces when there is a degree of safety and security.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Relationship, when you're not feeling those things anymore, that's why sex goes down. But then sex is complicated because it's also biological, right? It is a need, just like you have that. I'm hungry, I need food. I'm thirsty, I need water. I'm horny, I need sex.
I need sex.
There's nothing wrong with
that. Listen, that is honest. That you're being honest. You're being honest because the body has,
wrap it up, all that good stuff. Use your birth control. Be safe. Be safe. Be safe. But with that being said, there's also that communication piece. Like, if that is what you're doing, have you communicated that to the other person? And has the other person communicated that to you? And are you both okay with that being the nature of what this union is about? Is it about we both have a need, we don't have a relationship to meet that need, but we can come together, take care of this, and separate, almost like you're on a team. We come together, we meet our goal, and we go our separate ways. But then we know that's difficult because of that spiritual, that emotional element. Sometimes one person gets attached or not, or other times people are just not honest. And so
Yeah,
it's a
but
very complicated topic.
okay. Yeah, but what if you are if you're not in a relationship and okay, you still have to be an adult when it comes to certain things. Like if you are in open communication with your sexual partner and you understand that what do maybe they're looking for a relationship, maybe they're not looking for a relationship, but the two of you like each other and you both agree that okay, then yes, you would like to have sex or intimacy with that person, don't you have to, you would have to be able to respect yourself the day after?
I think you will have to be able to respect yourself the day after. And I think that you can respect yourself the day after, if that's your agreement. I'm not one of those people who believes that you have to be in a relationship to have sex with someone. And that's the only respectful way to do it. I don't believe that. I think that that is the legitimized way in society, but I think that it is possible for two adults to have a mutual respect for one another, have a fondness for each other, but agree that they don't work as a couple. But hey,
Mhm.
you're single, I'm single. I think you're attractive. You think I'm attractive. We both have this need. Let's do that together. But I do think it takes people who are extremely emotionally mature to make that happen.
That's the word.
Things can shift. So you can go into it saying, I just want the sex. But then, the late nights, the sleeping over, the cuddling, that could lead to feelings. And when that is happening, it's important for you to recognize that inside yourself and decide, can I keep doing this in the original way and be okay with myself? Or will that piece hurt me? And will I start to, blame him or blame her? Because it's not always the woman. Like, oh, why doesn't he love me? He's a user, when that was not the arrangement. You have to recognize when your feelings and the circumstances are shifting and make an adjustment based on that. If not,
Hmm.
I'm also, self pleasure is an option. If you can't do that, if you don't have that emotional maturation that it takes, or you don't have a partner who's equally emotionally mature to do that with you, self pleasure, you can still get that need. It's not the same, no, as having another person. But if it is just that biological drive of, I need to feel good, that's another avenue to do that because
And it takes some of the stress off.
exactly. We live in a stressful world, so it's one of
Listen, it
the
takes
body's
some of the
natural
stress
responses,
off.
right? Like when we're under stress, the body's natural response is either fight, flight, flee, fight, flight, feed, or they say fornicate, right? So that's the four F's. That's literally the body's natural response. So we can't ignore that, and we can acknowledge that it relieves stress. But then again, just does the other person know that that's their role in your life? Have you communicated that in a way that's open and respectful? And have they communicated that to you? And are they someone who can respect someone who says that and does that?
I also listen, I know that sometimes men are either emotionally available or some men aren't emotionally available, some women aren't emotionally available. Right now, if you look at some of the trends that are on social media, you have women that are just looking for men that just either they just want to hook up and relieve some stress because now they're not looking to be in a relationship or anything like that. And then you have people that are actually looking for a relationship. And you also have men that are just looking to just connect or hook up or whatever. And then you have men that are looking for relationship. So it goes both ways. You understand?
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
men and women both have needs. And What do you say? You really have to be mature when it comes to, I guess, just being in a short-term relationship. Right now, you have so many things to consider. You have COVID-19 testing, you have STDs testing, you have to be tested for all this other kind of stuff. Some things that right now, people don't die from AIDS anymore, but it is still something because due to the medication and the health, you also have hepatitis C. You have all these other things that you have to factor in. Do you recommend them getting tested before intercourse or before connecting? What is your or just using a condom?
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to that communication piece. I think
Hmm.
everyone is different. Um, Getting tested and waiting until you get the test results and making sure that you both have access and you're both being honest, that's an important
Mm.
piece. But there's also, there are condoms. There's also PrEP is one thing I've heard about for HIV.
Don't they have like a female condom or something like that?
They have female condoms, but last I checked, they were just not the best, like functionally. They were weird, and so male condoms are better from that perspective. Um,
Hmm.
when it comes to contraceptives, women have a lot of birth control, but for preventing STDs, um, latex condoms
The
are like
best.
the best option. But they
Hmm.
also have like a medication. It's called PrEP, and it reduces a person's viral loads. I'm not sure how it works. I think there's one where someone who has HIV, it reduces their viral load, so it makes it really difficult for them to transmit. So they're
Hmm.
in the Magic Johnson status.
I've
And then
seen the
there's also,
commercial. I've
yeah,
seen the commercial.
exactly. And
Uh-huh.
also one where the person who is being intimate with someone who's HIV positive takes that medication, and
They
their
both have to take
of
the medication?
yeah, and their chances of contracting reduces significantly as well.
Wow.
So there's a lot out there that you can do to keep yourself safe. And so that's why these discussions are so important. It's not the 70s anymore. Technology has advanced tremendously, and we really do need to start having the conversation so we
So
can
the
take care of
science,
ourselves.
yes.
We can take care of ourselves and, protect ourselves, right? Because everyone wants to have fun, but we shouldn't have so much fun that we're harming ourselves.
Hmm. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Dr. Chinaway. Oh my
Thank
gosh, this is amazing. Now, what are some of your recommendations right now?
Um, my recommendation is to really start to think about how you communicate. You know, are you able to really express what your needs are? Are you able to know what your needs are? That's the first step, really, is do you know what your needs are? Because when you know what your needs are, then you can communicate them. And how do you communicate your needs? And do you feel like you're able to kind of get your needs met when you do communicate them? So those are questions to start thinking about. Another piece is um, make sure you're keeping up with your gynecologist appointments, and also talk to them about this. People don't talk to them about this, but they're educated on this topic. They're at the cutting edge of the research on this topic, so they really are trained to have these discussions. But for some reason, many people don't feel comfortable having these discussions with them. So that's a resource that we're wasting and leaving on the table. When
Okay, are you saying that many people don't have the confidence to discuss their sexual needs with their doctors? Are you saying that?
um, sexual needs with your partner, I don't know how
No,
many people.
I'm saying as black women, we have needs and we need to be able to speak openly in any relationship, whether that would be heterosexual or same sex, same gender, whatever. But as black women, we have needs and we need to be able to feel confident to discuss not only our needs with our doctors, but with our partners and with our physician. Is
The physician is an important piece to the puzzle because they can look at, if you go to the same person consistently, they have data on how your body is doing, because sometimes you may not feel something, but something could be changing internally, and they have the access to that. And also they have information on what the needs are. They're not going to talk to everyone about it because everyone's lifestyle is so different in 2020, right? Like,
Yes, I didn't know. Listen, I learned a new word this year, polyamorous,
yeah,
and
exactly.
and
No,
I'm
it's
like,
taking
okay, I
time.
had to Google that, and then when I'm saying to myself polyamorous, okay,
Right.
okay, I can't knock anybody. I'm not here to judge anyone. I'm just here to just be open-minded. But you have to factor in all these things when it comes to making that decision. Am I correct?
And you hit the nail right on the head. The information based on who you are, all those different groups you belong to, and the lifestyle you live, that information is different. And so when you have that one-on-one with your doctor, that's your time to get that information so that she can tell you, if you're in this community, I hear this is going on health-wise. Here's how you can protect yourself, right? Because they are, and I know it's difficult because we didn't just become hush hush about sex. There is a lot of judgment that goes around with that. But more and more doctors are being trained. And I think that my event on Saturday shows that doctors are willing to be part of the solution. It's a Black female gynecologist who's meeting with us. She's at Rutgers University. And she's very much about having this discussion. She's not just about the wellness in the body, but she's also like, Black women, we deserve pleasure because that helps you. That has health benefits. Like when
Hmm.
you have a healthy sex life, it makes you healthier. So the information is out there. It's not perfect, like science is always, we learn more and more as we go along and we incorporate that into practice. But it is better than doing nothing. It is better than staying hush hush. It is better than being secretive about things.
I watched it was a documentary where it was an African doctor, and she was stating that the suckling of the breast actually reduces breast cancer.
Ooh,
And I was like, really?
I never
And
heard that one. Yeah, I
yes, she
got
was. Yes. Oh my God. And if I find the link, I'll send it to you. But she was saying that the suckling of the breast actually reduces breast cancer, and she was recommending that the partners, even though the children are, if they're no longer nursing, that their partners suckle the breast because it helps the woman's body and it releases. Like antibodies throughout the body to help. Yes. And then I was listening that even with men that I guess with the ejaculation that it also reduces the buildup in the prostate. I'm like, really?
interesting. Look at
I'm
that,
like, oh my gosh, there's
right?
so many benefits to sex. And then you have those that have sex that it's a good exercise, how many calories, and you can lose, like how many calories that you can lose, and how it tones the body depending on. That's why they recommend like the Kama Sutra, where you can have the different positions because it's actually good for the body. And so there's so many benefits, health benefits for men and for women when it comes to having sex. So I think that at this forum that you currently have right now, maybe I should attend.
I think you definitely should. I think it's going to be a great event. You mentioned with Sutra, we do have a pure romance consultant, and she's going to be showing us different like creams, lotions, gels, and just little things you can use that I know is similar to kind of like the Kama Sutra line. So it's a great way to just really learn more. You can also do some Christmas shopping because we have some vendors. But yes, we do have. It's really about we're tackling things from a physical perspective, where that's where the gynecologist comes in, and then we're doing the stigma piece. That's where I come in, and then we're doing that like fun piece, which is like, here are some tools you can use to help yourself.
Now, what do you say for women that have reached a certain age and they experience maybe vaginal dryness or something like that? That is where certain they have things for that now, right?
Yeah,
And
they have lubricants. They have vegan lubricant even, right? Like dude, we're living in some time.
really?
Yeah, so they have lubricant, and women who have gone through menopause, they can still reap the other benefits of sex, and so that's one way to make it enjoyable again. But some women are not even able to have that communication, and then you see a breakdown in their marriage.
Uh,
So this it's a big
wow.
one. Yeah, it's really huge because sometimes if women feel embarrassment that their body's no longer doing that, but it's nothing a little lubricant won't solve, because yeah, they stop having sex and keep rejecting their partner starts to feel, oh, what's wrong with me, she doesn't like me anymore. And not to stereotype, but men are not the best communicators, and then they shut down and they grow distant from one another, and there you have it, a divorce, when something as simple as a lubricant could have prevented that, right?
And that is where women need to open up and communicate more with their doctors and with their partners, because certain things that could be avoided can be solved with just by asking a question.
Exactly.
Isn't
And
that
right,
something?
and that's what this forum is about, because we've been taught to be ashamed around this topic, especially Black women, right? We've been
Mhm.
taught to be ashamed about our sexuality. We've been taught that if we're getting unwanted male attention, it's our fault, right? Some of this even goes back to slavery, where um, Black women,
Why? We're beautiful women.
right?
Like,
Yeah,
men are visual creatures. Men
exactly.
are visual, and men love a beautiful woman. And why? So now they have to either be comfortable within their skin, but I get it, because sometimes men can be really love them dearly, but whew.
That's a topic for another day.
Listen, love them dearly. Love them, love them, love them. But so how do you deal with women who has that psychological issue?
I think that's the stigma piece of the event is where that's the beginning to lay that groundwork for that. It's really about learning about, where did you learn about sex? How old were you when you first learned about sex? Where did you learn that from? Um, when you found out that sex was a thing, which for most people you're like 12, 13-ish, um,
Mhm.
did you look at your parents differently, and in what way? Um, just were you raised to be like, I was raised Catholic, so there's a lot of guilt in that religion.
Really? I used
Well,
to hear my
you're supposed
parents
to
have.
be like the Virgin Mary. The Virgin Mary. That's heavy. That's a heavy message for a woman. The Virgin Mary.
Oh, yes. I used to hear my parents having sex.
Oh wow. So yeah, so that's interesting as well. Some people
It's seven of us. It's seven of us, and we grew up
oh,
in a small house, and
exactly.
yeah,
Some people hear nothing at all. There's no affection in their families. So all
in
that
Catholic.
is different. Every
Wait a minute. In Catholicism, there isn't that much affection or passion or anything like that in
Oh,
Catholicism.
no, passion is bad, and passion is what makes you sin. I don't want to bash it. It's not all bad, but it is
No,
definitely
no, no. But
there
there is
was
a dogma. There is a dogma
there's a
and
dogma around
stigma
it,
that is around it, and I think that women need information.
or just even to be a priest or to be a nun, you have to not take a wife because you have to be pure, and that's why. So
And that's why that's why there's so much what do they call that child molestation and pedophilia, because now, from what I understand, that the priests are allowed to marry. In
Yeah.
some part of Catholicism, priests can marry now.
Not that I know of. To my knowledge, that part hasn't changed. And so that kind of gets you, that's the embodiment of what being good is being sexually pure. And so that tells you kind of the messaging around sex.
And that's why there's a double standard. There's like a double standard, like what was it? They go to church looking for a what go what the boys go to church looking for Catholic girls or something like that because they behave one way in church and another way. And it also depends on how you were raised and the nationality, the ethnicity, the culture. You have to factor in all these
All
things,
those things and start
correct?
thinking. Like I remember one of my friends in graduate school, we were just talking and he said his first exposure of like him noticing that he was being sexually aroused was him watching the video Juveniles Back That Ass Up. So I know.
Back that ass up.
It was this little white guy. That was his first exposure to arousal. I laughed so hard when he told me this story. It was awesome.
No, but it happens. It happens. It happens.
That's a lot of people's introduction to sex is either in the media where it's being like commodified, where sex is used to sell, or they're watching porn where it's just really like over the top. It's fake. It's unhealthy. It's not real.
Listen, I notice, and I am a big anime. I'm like an anime junkie. Love anime. And I notice when I go to certain anime websites, let me tell you something. The amount of pornography
Mm-hmm.
that pops up on that, I'm like, is this a children's? Is this designed for, is this website for children or is it for adults? Like, who is it for? Because a lot of young people today is being introduced to sex in on every venue.
Right.
Every venue. When I say every venue, every forum, and how do they well, now when they have this discussion, you're dealing with, I guess, to this generation, they just know everything. They're just exposed to everything.
But the interesting piece is that Gen Z and millennials are having less sex than Gen X and the baby boomers. So it's
Are they really?
weird relationship. But if you think about it, if all they're doing is porn and all they're seeing is like, like J-Lo, Madonna, that's not real. That's not how you build intimacy. So if you try to have sex in that context, you're not going to
What, J-Lo, Madonna, Cardi B, Ariana,
right? They don't do their job. So this is something they're putting on to sell a product.
Megan the Stallion. You understand? Okay.
But like you said, when you turn on stuff, like it's just not only is it like anime, it's also it's a lot of like weird stuff, like Two Girls One Cup. Just it's really pathological, like Two Girls One Cup, or just like stepmom, stepdad, like it has this weirdness to it. And so if you think about that, that's not fun, that's gross, and that's really not what sex is, but that is their idea of what sex is. So when they try to do it, that's what they try to recreate. And so, of course, that's not fun. So, of course, they're not going to try to do it again.
So basically, now they have to learn to separate what is real from what is performed, what is just for marketing, what is just like, to just, but they don't do then they have to understand the difference of being in a relationship and being intimate and just having sex.
Exactly.
There's a difference.
There is a difference, but I don't think they've mastered relationships as a whole, just with the heavy influence of social media on their lives. And I think that is also affecting their sex lives as well. And so you see a reduction in sexual
Now,
engagement. Usually
now,
the old people are having the most sex, the young people and then the really old people, because they have no kids, is my theory. Well, the old people have kids, but the kids are not kids anymore. But that's usually the demographics where you see a lot of sex happening. But that younger crowd right now, they're not having as much sex as normal. The age reduction.
I know that in with the geriatrics that they have the highest rate of STDs. Why is that? Because they're having more sex than me probably at the moment. At the
Well,
moment,
I've heard,
because they
right, because they come from a generation where, like, so people who are like geriatric right now, and when we started noticing that trend, they came of age in like the 70s, the 60s. So this was before HIV. And
mm,
all back then was you meet one person, your high school sweetheart, and you're married by like 18 or 21 maybe. So you get married really young, and most of them have like they have like one partner, maybe two. So that's just kind of a different generation. So
mm,
when they're later in life and then they find themselves to be single, they haven't had to talk about contraceptions either. They haven't had to talk about, like, there was no sex ed back then. And so that's
mm,
where they're coming from. And so they're not
uh,
thinking about contraceptions. They're not thinking about anything. And then it's a bunch of people who are all the same age, all living together when you think of the nursing homes. And so they're
mm.
kind of running wild. And so I think that's also some of it. Like, that was just not part of their generation. Um, the
Now,
contraceptive talk, people didn't have multiple sex partners. So it was just a different time when they came of age and learned about who they were sexually. And then they were with one partner for many years. And then fast forward, they're going back out there and trying to use the playbook from the 60s and the 70s in
that doesn't work in 2020.
exactly.
Okay.
The times are different. And so I think that's some of it as well.
Okay, and what is the age group of the women that you actually work with? Or is this group recommended for just a particular age group of Black women or just,
So this is for all Black women, 18 and older is who we're targeting. The gynecologist, I believe she's probably a boomer in that, like, she's a boomer. So
mhm,
it's really something that every woman will be able to find something. And all the information is helpful regardless. This is probably going to be about like early 30s to about mid to late 50s would be my guess. But this is a forum that's open for all Black women.
awesome, awesome. Oh my gosh, Dr. Chinaway, oh my God, you are amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you. Oh
Yes,
my gosh. Thank you for being a guest. Thank you so much for the information. Thank you for your time.
thank you. It was great.
Honor and respect. Honor
It
and respect. Oh
was
my gosh.
a
This is
very fun topic.
amazing.
Yes.
This is amazing because this is something that Black women they don't discuss this often. And
No.
that is their own sexuality. Do you know how many Black women that I know personally that are living with issues like from many, many different ages that they're like, okay, from different generations. And I'm like, go do something like,
I think we all
you
know women.
know,
I think we all know women. And I think that's why this is very important, is because we all can say that we know someone, yet no one's talking about it. So it's almost like
mhm.
we know this is a thing, but we're all just gonna, sit back and be quiet when it's
And
like,
suffer in silence.
let's talk about it. There's, Black women, we are very creative, we are very powerful, we are very beautiful. There's nothing we can't
Exactly.
overcome. So let's come together, let's have this discussion, let's see where it goes, and maybe next year there'll be a part two, and we'll be able to delve deeper. And just, I just really feel everyone should be living amazing lives, and this is one way to address that in a small way.
Oh
Just
my gosh.
going. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because there's a psychology and a stigma around when it comes to Black women and their own sexuality and their own personal needs, and when it comes to communication in the relationship. How do you communicate to my partner if you're married or you're in a relationship with a man or your partner that doesn't communicate that well? Because some men don't speak, like, they hold a lot of stuff in, and who do they go to when they need stuff? So how do you communicate your need to your partner and what it is that you need, how you will feel either respected or appreciated, with the satisfaction? And these are a lot of things that needs to be addressed. Awesome.
Sure, for sure. And this is just one step, but there's definitely a lot that we can keep doing as we keep the conversation going. So I've definitely enjoyed this discussion with you. I learned something new. I need to look up that fun fact that you mentioned in terms of what was it that you
The
said?
suckling, the suckling.
With the breast. I need to look that up on the ejaculation in the prostate. So I definitely would love to do some more research on that. But yeah, so this is why these discussions are important because
Are you doing a workshop as well?
um not a workshop just yet. For now it's this event.
Come on, girl. What?
I
Listen,
know.
after this event, you can get a workshop. You
You're
can
right.
get you can do a workshop, like, to follow up, because the workshop would just be the follow up. Once they sign up for the group, see how many people attend, what their issues are, do a survey, find out, who learned what, and then do a workshop, because now this will help them to feel comfortable with their own bodies.
Yeah, I definitely want to do a follow up. I've been tossing ideas around of how to follow up, but it's one of those things we got to get through Saturday, and then
Listen,
it is at the back of my mind. But
get through Saturday. Don't wait until next year. Do the workshop within a couple of months after the event. Okay?
and it's also I'm an in person kind of girl, so I love that it's virtual because I can reach people that are
Mhm.
not local to me, but I'm just like, I wish this event was in person. I would love for it. Another thing I'm weighing, I know, we just need to live life and do our best with COVID. So I am thankful for Zoom. So everyone listening, this is a virtual event. If you're not doing anything Saturday, definitely stop by. You just need
And
to.
what time is the event? What
It's
time is the event?
Saturday, October. Oh,
Say
Saturday,
it again.
Saturday, October 24th, from 3:30 to 8 p.m.
And it's on Zoom. Are you doing tickets? Is there
Are on sale on Eventbrite. It is
mm-hmm,
$25 a person.
mm-hmm.
Gives you access to everything we have. We're also doing 2 or 3 raffles. We're going to be raffling off some gifts that will help you explore your sexuality a bit more. So there's a lot of fun things that are going to be happening. There are also vendors, so you can definitely get started with Christmas shopping early. I
A
created
lot of good gift ideas.
Exactly. There's some really cute stuff because I just booked all the vendors. So I created a Facebook group and they're posting some of their stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I want all of these. But yeah, it's going to be on Zoom. And I think you posted the Eventbrite, but if anyone wants that, we can share that information again. So just go to Eventbrite, purchase your ticket, and then you'll get a link to the event 48 hours prior to the start time.
Oh my gosh, awesome. Thank you, Dr. Chinwe.
Thank
Thank
you for
you.
having me. This has been amazing.
You're welcome. And I will send you a copy of this of this video.
Yes,
Okay?
please do. Please do. Thank you.
And you're welcome. Have a good day.
You too.
Honor and respect. Bye.
Bye.